the fight. It was solidified there with a big shot from Chuck Liddell.
It's over. It's over. There he is. Chuck Liddell is looking for Tito Ortiz.
Tito Ortiz had originally said that he would fight Chuck after the Victor Belfort fight.
Right after I beat Vitor, he got in the ring and started running his mouth. I was going to give me an ass whooping.
Well, it looks like me and him are next. And all you guys at home, it's going to be a huge fight. Me and Chuck Liddell.
Chuck had been waiting patiently the whole time to fight him.
Chuck was almost basically Tito's bodyguard, and Chuck would knock off all the tough guys, you know, while Tito was fighting, let's just say, lesser competition and retaining his title.
Yeah, who'd he fight? Tanner, who's at 185 now, and like Elvis Sinisek, and Chuck fought Vitor and Kevin Randleman and some of the guys who were considered tougher.
When we got to a point where Chuck was the #1 contender, it was established he was going to fight for that title. It was his turn.
The only problem with that is promoters, you know, you've got dates to work around, certain events.
The moment I heard that these two are going to meet in the octagon, I was counting the days, the minutes, the hours. It's finally here.
We had set up a fight that people had been wanting to see for years between Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock.
I thought you had more respect in it.
And we knew that that was going to be a blockbuster fight for us. I went to Chuck and said, will you step aside and let this fight happen? And then no matter what, I guarantee you, you will get the winner of this fight. And Chuck said, absolutely. I'll do it for you guys, and I'll do it for the sport.
Because anything can happen in a mixed martial arts fight. There's so many ways to win and lose. You could be winning and just get a cut, you know, and lose the fight. So when you have a big fight, you want to be protected, you want to be careful. Chuck Liddell doesn't think like that.
Chuck Liddell's mentality is that I'll fight anyone, anytime, any place.
He's not trying to play safe. He's not trying to get wins under his belt. He's looking to show, hey, I'm the best versus anyone.
He loves to compete, and he wasn't going to take that 6 months off to wait for Tito.
So not only does he step aside and let Ken Shamrock fight Tito instead of himself, he also tells me, I want to fight on that card.
He wanted to fight Renato Babalu Sobral, who is one of the toughest fighters in the world.
And I'm like, no, you're not fighting on that card. You're not fighting, period. And his manager at the time gets involved, and we're going back and forth. Well, they won.
Renato Babalu weighs in at 204 pounds.
That was a fight that scared us to death.
Because if he would have lost against Babalu, he would have not have got his title shot. You know, you can't have somebody coming off a loss fighting for your title. So, I mean, very dangerous, but Chuck's the type of guy, hey, I'm going to compete. If I lose, I wasn't supposed to fight for the title anyway.
I think that Babalu is one of the best 205-pounders in the world.
Let's do this shit, let's go!
That night, he didn't belong in the octagon with Chuck Liddell.
I love the way Chuck fights because he's always pressing. He is always the predator. He's always moving for boom! Big right hand. He's always moving forward. Always is. Oh!
Oh, and a big right hand.
He just missed under that. Oh, big leg kick. That's it. It's over.
It is all over.
Big left leg kick.
Chuck Liddell has done it again. He knocks out Babalu.
You know, we dodged the bullet there.
Chuck Liddell has done it.
Man, is he pumped. Look at him. That's the man right there. There has never been a challenger like this before.
I just want my title shot. I'm waiting for it. I do this to stay in shape, get ready. Fought a really tough opponent, Renato Sobral. You know, I've fought all the tough opponents here. I want my title. I want whoever. Tito can, I don't care. I'm knocking either one of them out.
It is all over. Tito Ortiz remains the light heavyweight champion.
Tito beats Ken Shamrock, and right on his interview that night, basically says, I don't want to talk about Chuck Liddell right now.
One of your best friends, Chuck Liddell, is next in line. What's going to happen?
I don't know, I'm not really thinking about that right now. Me and Chuck, I guess we got to sit back and look at it. I guess we got to renegotiate things, because me and Chuck, I mean, our friendship's not worth the money we're getting paid, if you ask me.
And then all of a sudden, oh no, we're friends. Well, we can't fight. We're friends. Then why'd you get in the ring and start running your mouth?
Chuck knocks out Renato Babalu in the first round. Now it's his turn to fight Tito, and Tito refuses to fight him. I'm doing a movie, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So not only has he waited this long, then steps aside, fights a tough guy, knocks him out, now Tito Ortiz is refusing to fight him.
You know, people in the mixed martial art press had been putting pressure on Tito to step up and fight him because he had made a public challenge that he would fight him. It just seemed like just a matter of time before the press turned on Tito, which is what they did when he wouldn't take the fight.
I mean, it was frustrating for the fans. It was frustrating for us, definitely frustrating for Chuck.
Chuck was like, hey, I want to fight. I deserve a shot at the championship title. I've earned it. I've beat this guy, these guys, and this list of guys, and so Tito still refused.
Tito wouldn't give Chuck a title shot because he didn't want to lose. I see why. I mean, nobody wants to lose their belt.
Tito had not defended his belt for so long that we created an interim championship. Chuck Liddell was clearly the #1 contender. As far as who would be an interesting opponent for Chuck, that was difficult.
Couture, 1, 2, 3. Randy Couture is the heavyweight champion again.
I presented a scenario to them of, hey, Randy Couture, you know, he's a 2-time former heavyweight champion, was always a popular guy. He had recently lost his title, but he was always a very small heavyweight. I knew he was small enough that if he wanted to, he could fight at 205.
And to come down and fight for that interim championship certainly gave that interim championship some credibility and legitimized that interim championship. And Chuck, if Chuck beat me in that, he would be considered, you know, the champion, and Tito wouldn't have anything to say.
Right there, that tells you this could be a problem.
Chuck was, you know, had a winning streak up until that point when he fought Randy Couture. He was on, I think, like a 7-fight win streak. And so Randy Couture was the underdog for that fight.
That's it. It's over. And it's all over.
Most people at that stage of my career, having come off 2 losses in the heavyweight division, felt like I was on my way out. I was basically going to retire pretty quickly. That was going to be the last fight on my contract.
Everybody overlooks Randy and everybody underestimates him, and then he goes in there and does well.
I tend to operate pretty well in that underdog spot, and I've been there a couple of times in my career. I tend to shine in those instances. You know, I studied the tapes and looked at Chuck, and although I respected him as a competitor and as a person, I still felt like I had a good shot at getting to him and winning that fight. Chuck, I think, underestimated me at my age at 39, which put me in a position to come out on top.
Randy's just a master strategist. And that fight, he came out, I think Chuck was ready. I'm going to defend the takedown. Randy's a wrestler. He's going to try to take me down, and that's what he was set to do. And Randy came out striking.
Randy with a knee and a good one again.
As I analyzed Chuck's style, it struck me that if I allow him to control the tempo of the fight and use his footwork and draw me in, that I was going to be just like everybody else. I was going to get knocked out.
Chuck was, he wasn't utilizing his footwork. Randy was coming in, closing the distance, creating that clinch, using his dirty boxing, and he was able to take Chuck down.
Every time he paused to try and hit me, I tried to launch either into a punching combination or a takedown. I think, especially the punching combinations, he didn't expect.
He wasn't giving Chuck the respect that Chuck is used to seeing, and I think that frustrated him and kind of pulled him out of his game plan a bit.
Randy's looking for openings. He looks very good standing up here, and I don't think Chuck likes it.
Oh, Chuck just missed the right, and Randy takes him down again. What a good first round. 5 minutes in the books. Yeah, I would too.
Randy's in control of this fight. Chuck does not look happy.
He was just better than me that day. You know, I didn't condition right for it. About 3 minutes into the first round, I was tired.
Then if that was just a mediocre or an average or even a good opponent, Chuck still would have got by with it. But since it's Randy Couture, the god of MMA.
Oh, big right hand by Randy.
Randy taking it to Chuck Liddell.
Randy Couture is winning the stand-up bout. This is incredible.
I mean, you can't beat Randy Couture without being, you know, AAA game. Maybe I didn't get him up enough. Maybe I didn't give him the right advice. A lot of times that's true, because Chuck is so disciplined, he'll follow instructions like to the letter. I mean, I'll even yell a number, which we have little secret numbers, and in the middle of 15,000 screaming fans, he'll do a technique at that split second that I'm yelling it out. He has that much presence of mind. So when his strategy isn't working, a lot of that falls on me. And then a lot of it, most of it, just falls on Randy, how damn good he is.
It was a masterful performance by Randy, and you know, once again he showed he's Captain America. You know, just an amazing athlete at his age, for any age.
Chuck did get slammed pretty hard. And getting slammed like that by someone like Randy Couture takes a lot of your wind out.
That was one of the most traumatic things for his career.
He lost to freaking Randy Couture, and all of a sudden Chuck's no good anymore. People are starting to lose confidence in Chuck.
He just had to sit back and take a little thought into it. He just sat and didn't want to see anyone for a while.
Once again, I think it was something that Chuck Liddell learned from. It was a setback for him, but something he went back to the drawing board and said, okay, I've got to work on this.
So we decided we're just going to go back old school pit, our team, our takedown guy, our grappling guy, our jiu-jitsu guy, our striking guy, our conditioning guy.
By the end of that weekend, after the fight, he was calling up asking who his next opponent would be. He wanted to fight right away. He wanted to get that loss out of his system.
And I think he wanted to prove to a lot of people, it's like, you don't know, you know, and I'm going to show you what I can do.
I love competition. I've always been real competitive, man. I don't even like losing at checkers, much less something I feel I'm really good at.
Everything was a competition with him. He always wanted to win. Always.
From the time he was a small child, he's never liked to be anything but on top.
Yeah, we called him Liddellstein, you know, after Frankenstein, because he was so tough and rough.
Anytime that my children would get hurt or fall, if it wasn't something that was really serious that needed some significant stitches, I'd say, you know, you're okay, you're fine, get over it.
If it wasn't broken and it wasn't bleeding to where we couldn't stop, she would just tell us to quit being such a baby and don't cry about it. It's not that big a deal.
He's always been really tough. When he was about 3 years old, went and tripped and hit himself in the head. You can probably still see the scar from here to here. He had to have stitches, and all I said to him was, Charlie, put your hand there and hold it together till we get to the hospital. And he didn't cry, he didn't do anything. He says, okay, Mom.
He could absorb a lot of pain, he played with pain, he played with injuries.
I can remember we were going into a game against Santa Barbara High, and on Wednesday, Charlie blows his ankle out. I mean, it swells twice the size of a normal ankle. I mean, that thing, he can't even move. And Charlie, he is bound and determined that that is not going to stop him. And I don't know how he did it, but he taped that sucker up, and he played both ways in a crosstown rival game, which we won his senior year. That's the Chuck Liddell that I know.